All right. I must apologize for that technical issue. We were unable to get the doctor across, but we're still trying. However, I was able to get his voice. So the doctor will be talking to us, and we will all be able to hear him. Dr. Ladi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Unfortunately, we are still having technical problems with beaming you in, but we're going to do our best to overcome that. All right?
No problem.
All right. Welcome once again to your Saturday online clinic. This is powered by African Views and supported by Campaign for Nursing Excellence in Nigeria. Okay? So this is where we break down the complexities of your healthcare process into simple terms that you would understand, so you would be an informed participant in your own healthcare process. Okay, it is a pleasure to have all of you from across the world, from London, Nigeria, Australia. It's always a pleasure to have you. All right, so we're going to talk with the doctor today about pharmacovigilance. All right, I already introduced the program, doctor. And I also said that we will touch on the headlines in the Nigerian communities today as per the rape allegations against the Koza pastor. We can't just pretend that it did not happen, especially as we're healthcare practitioners. And this is, it behoves on us to say something to protect the women and the young girls in Nigeria. We would also make a comment about the violence that's going on and encourage people to find some kind of tolerance and compassion for each other and try to choose to live in peace. Okay, so let us jump directly into pharmacovigilance. Dr. Ladi, can you tell us what exactly that means?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, please viewers, let us know if you can hear Dr. Ladi.
All right. So, pharmacovigilance is a science, sort of. It's a science of collecting, assessing, identifying, analyzing, monitoring adverse effects of medicinal products like drugs, biologics, vaccines, medical devices, and so on and so forth. So it is the process whereby these scientists in manufacturers of drugs, they're in these offices and they analyze the complaints about the medication that are sent in from the consumers. Like, for instance, we're all aware or familiar with the use of chloroquine way back when we were in Nigeria.
Yes.
And we would have itching, serious itching all over our bodies.
And vision confusion and not be able to see well. Yeah.
Yes, that is a blood vision and all. So that is an example of an adverse effect of a drug.
Okay.
So the right thing to do
yes.
is to call that in to the manufacturer of the product and say, I used your product, and after I used it, so and so happened to me.
Okay, let me jump in right there. That is what happens in America. What happens in Nigeria? If you use a product and then you suffer adverse effect to the products, what do you do if you're in Nigeria? But before we go on, Dr. Ladi, can we explore your background so we understand what kind of doctor we're talking to, what your specialty is, and understand the vastness of your knowledge in this matter? Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes. I'm a Nigerian. I live in the U.S. now, but I schooled in Nigeria. I graduated from OAU, University of Ife, with a bachelor's in medicine and surgery. I worked with the Lagos State Hospitals Management Board all over Lagos, from Badagry to Ikeja and Oniko and all of that. Mostly doing women's health, obs and gynae, in my clinical practice. After about 5 or 6 years of practicing in Nigeria, I proceeded to Europe, where I practiced OBGYN as well in the Republic of Ireland and in the UK. Now I reside in the U.S. I've been in the U.S. in the last 10 years or so, and my practice has switched onto the practice of pharmacovigilance. I've worked in the industry, pharmaceutical industry, as a medical affairs officer, medical reviewer, global safety physician, and so on and so forth. So I've been mostly focused on safety of drugs, of the use of drugs in the public. I've had a lot of interactions with the FDA, the health authority in charge of drugs, cosmetics, and food in this country. So that has been my experience in the last 10 years.
All right, thank you very much. You said the FDA. That would be the Food and Drug Administration.
That's right.
What is the equivalent institution in Nigeria to oversee the use and distribution and monitoring of adverse reactions of drugs in Nigeria?
So that body for Nigeria will be the NAFDAC. NAFDAC, as we all know, is the equivalent of the FDA in the U.S. Unfortunately, most people in Nigeria, most Nigerians, see NAFDAC as doing two things. One, fighting the importation of counterfeit drugs and chasing after those who are manufacturing, those who are packaging pure water. So that's what most people see NAFDAC as doing. But there's a lot more involved in what NAFDAC does. There's a lot that they are set up, that they were set up for. They were set up to mirror what the FDA does in the U.S. So everything from food, drink, drugs, of course, counterfeit drug is part of their job as well, but also more importantly, taking care of monitoring and identifying adverse events for drugs in the populace and to safeguard the health of the public. That's their main job.
Okay, so now, when NAFDAC checks a product, they put their stamp of approval, like they put the stamp of approval that this product has been checked and passed by NAFDAC, right?
Yeah.
So now, in Nigeria, if somebody suffers an adverse reaction, the kind of reaction you stated, they call NAFDAC, or because they cannot call the drug companies. Most of the drug companies are not based in Nigeria, they're based in India or other parts of the world, not in Nigeria. Who do they call?
So even though a company is not based in Nigeria, as long as you're selling a drug in a country, you must have a representative of your company in that country. Because someone has to be responsible. That is the way it is operated in the rest of the world. So if an American company is selling drugs into Germany, for instance, just because you don't have your headquarters in Germany, you still have to have what the Europeans call an authorized representative. So there has to be an authorized representative of every company that is selling every drug in Nigeria. Even anything as simple as an aspirin, you have to have a representative, even if you don't have the entire company situated in that country. So it is erroneous thinking to believe that we don't have a company to call. There's always, or there should always be, the representative of that company. If there's none, then NAFDAC is dropping the ball, then our authorities are not doing their job. There's no way a company should be selling drugs in your country without having a known, recognized, authorized representative.
Now, the ordinary Nigerian would not know where to find the contact of this representative. So, do they look on the drug bottle? Will the contact be there? Do they go
Absolutely.
Oh.
That is the same way they do it here. On every medication there is, if you look properly, the name of the company is right there. The number to call if there is a problem will be right there. And again, if all these are not on the medication boxes of the drugs that are being sold in Nigeria, then that's a problem for NAFDAC. This will bring us into the realm of labeling. Labeling is one of the aspects of regulation that FDA does and NAFDAC should be doing. So your labeling must have your number where someone will call if there's a problem. If that is not there, that's a failing on the monitoring regulatory body.
Okay. All right. I hope I'm having questions from my viewers. You can read out the questions to me and let me know what's going on. Also, if there's anybody interested in joining us live to make a comment, they should feel free to indicate, and then we will beam them in. All right, Dr. Ladi, let's talk about adverse effects a little more. Let's dwell on the importance of a timely recognition of adverse effects. Now, when I was young, we used to have like medication regimen. Every day at a particular time we'll be given Nivaquine. Nivaquine was to help our bodies fight against malaria. Now the adverse effects you mentioned was the vision loss and no, issues and itching. Other medications also um, induce some adverse effects that are very important to note and recognize on time, especially if there is a swelling of the tongue or some kind of skin infection, because from the itching we have scratching, from the scratching we have infection, and then suddenly we're looking at Steven Johnson's kind of syndrome. Can you throw more light on why people should be quick to recognize and report adverse effects and not try to manage the situation hoping they'll get used to it or something? Because some of these effects can be very dangerous.
Yeah. Again, this is important because sometimes you have adverse events that could be serious. There are drugs that could give you adverse events that will look like you have Parkinson's disease. There are drugs that you could use that their adverse effects could include liver damage. And that's not talking about some kind of drug that you have to have a serious prescription to obtain. I'm talking about something as simple as paracetamol. So something as simple as paracetamol, if you abuse it, you could end up with liver failure, and not just paracetamol. It could be any other painkiller. So it is absolutely important that the culture of reporting is instilled in the public, and this is the missing part. It has to be a part of us, and currently it is not. If we took a poll today of the average Nigerian on the street and say, well, if you use this drug and this happens to you, what do you do? One, they don't even understand that, okay, this is a side effect. Okay, maybe they know there's a side effect, but what do? They have no idea, no clue. They don't know who to call, who to inform of their adverse effect. So again, the point I'm trying to make is that for adverse effects, there are some that are classified as non-serious, and then there are those that are classified as serious. When it's serious, it means that it was it could be life-threatening. It could maybe it landed the person in hospital. I'll give you a personal story. So my company, the company I work for right here in the U.S., we manufacture a non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug. In short, a very powerful painkiller. So I sent some home to my dad. You know how Nigerians like, around me, my body's aching, everything is aching me. I want painkillers. So we want stronger and stronger painkillers. So I sent this over to my dad, and unknown to me, he was abusing it. He was using it every day. That's the wrong thing you could do. Cut a long story short, they called me one early morning, like 5 a.m. My dad had landed in the hospital. He vomited. Yeah, he vomited like the way he described it to me, like almost a paint kind of paint size, full of blood. So that is a massively dangerous and serious adverse event from the abuse of a non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug. So this could happen from the use of ibuprofen, even aspirin, Aleve, Advil, any of of these kind of drugs could lead to that kind of adverse effect. Believe it or not, I reported this adverse effect to my colleague who was the global safety officer for that drug in my company. We happen to be a guy that sits just across from me. So this, even though I didn't need to do that, but I have already imbibed that culture in me living here that you report that sort of thing. And reporting, it helps everybody. It helps the public. It helps the company to monitor the safety profile of the drug and continue to improve the drug. It helps the health authorities to have a bigger picture of the safety profile of drugs, and maybe they need to direct the manufacturers to
do more research.
You need to change your label, or we're going to pull your drug if you don't conduct more research on this particular. We are worried that this drug is killing people. It's killing their livers. It's destroying people's kidneys and stuff like that. So it helps everybody in the long run.
Okay,
the public has a lot to do. Has a lot to do to contribute to this.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Now at this point, I have to bring in the safe use of medication. A lot of people try to self-medicate. A lot of people say, oh, my friend said she did this and she used this and it worked for her. So they could use the same thing on themselves. Oh, I was feeling better, so I stopped taking the medication, like high blood pressure medication. Others say, oh, it didn't work, so I doubled up on the dose. Can we talk a little bit on why it is critical to follow your doctor's orders, to follow your doctor's plan of care for you? You can't just say, all right, let me double up on the medication and see how it works. I mean, this is your life. You cannot be playing with it. So we have a lot of people, well-meaning people, who go online and prescribe this or prescribe that. I think prescription of medication should be left to people who have been trained and licensed to prescribe medications. Now, even if you're taking supplements, even if you're taking, my cameraman is trying to tell me something I don't understand. Questions. Okay, 1 second, I'll come to the questions. Even if you're taking supplements, it's important to let your doctor know that you're taking such and such supplements because they might interact negatively with whatever other medications you are taking, okay? So in a little bit, Dr. Ladi is going to throw more light on why we should stick only to a doctor's orders. I mean, you can come on a program like this and we recommend that you take maybe a thyroid supplement. But what if you have hypothyroid or hyperthyroid? How would you know? Your doctor will be in a better position to say to you, oh, okay, from your blood test you have hyperthyroidism, or from your blood test you have hypothyroidism. Okay, this is the supplement they recommended. All right, you cannot take 2, you can only take 1 or something in that direction. All right, so whatever has been recommended. 1 second, doctor. 1 second. Whatever has been recommended, please run it by a doctor. Now, I'm going to take a few questions so that when the doctor is speaking on this issue, he will also answer your questions. Okay, so cameraman, give me the questions. Thank you.
The first question we have is from Josephine.
Josephine, yes. What did Josephine say?
Josephine says, in a situation when toll-free lines or codes are placed on medication packs to confirm authenticity of drugs, feedback or responses are never returned. Who does the user now relate to here in Nigeria?
Okay, feedback. When feedback or responses are not given, feedbacks are not returned, calls are not returned, what does the person do in Nigeria? Okay, another question.
Again, that is the problem of enforcement. It should not happen that the company has a phone number for the consumers to call in, and then there's nobody to pick it up. That phone has to be manned 24/7, or at least reasonably during waking hours, during waking work hours, so that complaints can be received. If you're not doing that, the FDA in this country would find that sort of company, and that's the kind of thing that we should be doing in Nigeria.
So report them to
It's
NAFDAC,
not
Josephine. Call NAFDAC and let
absolutely,
NAFDAC
yeah.
know that nobody's answering the phone or returning the calls. Okay? Thank you, Josephine. Next question, please.
Um, Shioma says,
Choma, what does Choma say?
any regulatory agencies in Nigeria monitoring delivery of these medications? Take, for instance, the vendor by the roadside selling a medication that is photosensitive in the sun. The uniformed consumer buying it off the seller. Any pointers?
The uninformed consumers buying it
Uninformed.
from the
So
seller. Uh-huh.
again, this everybody has a role to play, and the public, the role of the public is not to consult
Patronize.
with
Mhm.
quacks or to buy medication from non-registered personnel. Like someone is hawking some drugs on the street, and you call them and you buy drugs, you're killing yourself. You're part of the problem. We shouldn't be doing that.
Mhm.
And the big part here lies
Can
with
we
the
have the
government. That's
volume
why you are
closer?
the government. You have all the resources in the world to enforce the law. There is no way in 2019 that someone should still be able to purchase just on the street high blood pressure or medication, diabetic medication, and all of the kind. It sounds crazy when you tell people in this part of the world that that sort of thing still goes on somewhere. It really shouldn't. We shouldn't be at this stage talking about this in 2019.
Yes. So we do have to call out NAFDAC to do better monitoring and better overseeing to the way drugs are distributed in Nigeria. So we do not have something like insulin being sold under the hot sun, being hawked on the street. Now, Dr.
Again,
Ladi, you were going.
as much as I blame the people here, also I have to state the truth is because it's so expensive to go to the hospital and it's so uh, not easy to access medical care. This drives the public into the hands of the yalagos, the chemists nearby, and all of that. So as a society, really, we have to decide what do we want for ourselves. To do we want health and promote health and the right behavior? Then we have to invest in these things and enforce the laws on the ground. I'm sure the laws are there, but we just don't enforce them.
It has to
And
be.
then the public themselves have to cooperate with the authorities. Do not patronize these street hawkers. If we don't patronize them, they won't be in business. So everyone has a part to play.
Yes, everybody has a part to play. The public could report when you see these things being hogged, and when you call and nobody returns your call, please put a call, bring it, escalate the situation. Let the authorities know that this drug is being sold to the public and you're calling to report adverse effects of these medications and nobody is speaking up. We could write to NAFDAC, we could send an email, you could let a program like this know so that we can follow up with due diligence and get something done
So
about it. Okay.
just to mention a little bit more about someone not using a medication that is not meant for you. I'll give a real life story here. Sometime when I was practicing in Nigeria, there was a patient that we had, a big man, had money and all of that. He wasn't a poor guy or anything, but just he went into a chemist next door and bought some medication. He described his symptoms to the chemist, and by the time the guy gave him the drugs, he had given him diabetic pills, something to lower his blood sugar.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the dosage that he used or something. For some reason, he took too much of it. He went into hypoglycemic coma.
Yes.
Too low blood sugar,
Yeah.
and this man was in coma for like 2 weeks, I would say. And unfortunately, he never woke up from this. He just died, just like that, just from buying medication from the wrong hands, not knowing what you were using, not using it in the right dose, not knowing if it was meant for you or not, and that was the end of that, man. Do you know how many lives are being wasted in our
Yes.
country while
Yes.
people will confidently give other people drugs that they know nothing about,
This is
drugs
so
that
sad.
go on to kill them.
Yeah.
So it's not just with serious medication. It is also with simple medications like ferrous sulfate, for instance.
Yes.
If someone like a sickle cell patient, they're not supposed to use iron pills, iron tablets. So if you don't know that, if a sickle cell player is sufferer sees somebody using ferrous sulfate and say, "Oh, let me have some," and then they use it, they'll run into trouble. That's why you just don't ask for drugs from people. Don't use something because your friend is using it or because you feel it's working for them, so it has to work for me. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ladi. Now let me ask you something. You see how hot it is in Africa, and we also have erratic power supply in Africa. Now, talk to us about storage of medication. If you have medications like antibiotics or insulin, for example, would they not be degraded in such high temperatures? There are some vaccinations that need to be stored in coolers, refrigerators, to keep their constitution together, so that the potency is maintained. Now, you find people trying to save these medications by putting them in cold water, or anyhow they try all kinds of means to preserve the medications, but it's not working. And by the time these medications get to the big market, to a lot of people, it loses its potency and doesn't work towards curing what it was meant to cure. How do we get around that situation? Do you have any ideas on how to safely store medications?
Unfortunately, because of the electricity situation in Nigeria, we are stuck with that situation the way it is. So, but most medications that are to be used at home will survive the conditions at home. The ones that are really temperature sensitive, like the vaccines that you mentioned, they won't be stored at home anyway. Those should be in the hospital setting, in the clinic setting, and we will expect or hope that clinics and hospitals will take as much care as possible to maintain these medications at the temperature that is recommended by the manufacturers. If it's room temperature, keep it at room temperature. If it has to be below room temperature, keep it in your fridge, and so on and so forth. So we expect that healthcare providers should do the right thing and keep medication at the prime storage conditions. But for drugs that are being used at home, like Panadol, antibiotics, these are mostly going to be prescribed for at most 5-10 days anyway. So they will survive. I don't think there's a big problem over there.
All right, thank you, doctor. I'm coming at you with another very important topic. And this is how to find a safe middle ground, between traditional healthcare providers and medical trained providers. Considering that healthcare situation in Nigeria is very expensive, and a lot of people cannot afford it, we find that a lot of Nigerians tend to use traditional healthcare medicine providers. How do we get around finding a safe middle ground in that situation?
I think I am a biased. I'm a biased party here because I believe in medicine. I do not subscribe to the use of herbalists or traditionalists.
But it is a problem that we're not going to be able to phase out. I don't want to call it a problem, because some of them really do have skills, like the bone setters, like the the herbalists, they give you concoctions to drink, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it just kills you. But where do we
Yeah,
find
I
a
don't
middle
believe in
ground?
that.
Do we train them and accept them into the healthcare providers fold? Because a lot of
No,
Nigerians go there and
I,
lose their lives there.
I don't believe in that. I believe that a country or a society lives by the standards that they set. So if you want to set a good standard, I believe that your minimum, you should set what your minimum should be. And for me, if I was in charge, I would say the minimum for you, if you want to treat anyone, you have to be a nurse, a doctor, and stuff like that. You have to go to recognized school of learning that proves that you've gone through a certain set of learning and course of work to show that you understand what you're doing. Like, how was it? I was a herbalist trained. I don't know, so I really can't speak into. I really can't speak to this and say,
Okay, I know you
okay,
cannot speak
maybe
to it,
I can
but
help a herbalist to treat people better. Like, you have to have the basic knowledge of anatomy and physiology and a lot more to be able to treat people properly.
yes, we cannot throw away the knowledge that these people have, because long before Western medicine arrived Africa, Africans had their own indigenous healthcare system, and it did work for them. So I think that we could get the good out of that by bringing these people up to a standard of practice that ensures that, whoever they deal with comes out of there alive, safe and alive. For example, the traditional birth attendants, are very good, but if they can learn a level of hygiene, and a level of a skill set to augment their own practice, it will go a long way to, providing the much needed health care.
You know what I will say there
Yeah.
is for the traditional for the traditional midwives.
Yes.
Honestly, if a woman is in labor and it's a normal pregnancy and it's head first, it's not breech and all of that, it should be a fairly simple, straightforward childbirth.
Question.
Even in if a woman goes into labor in the market and there's no doctor, there's no nurse, most of the time childbirth will be fine. Anyone going by the street can do it. So I'm not saying that doctors are geniuses or anything like that.
What about?
But
Yeah.
there has to be some lines. You have to draw some lines.
Yes.
Like when a woman is in labor
Yes.
in your babalawo house and she's been in labor for 2-3 hours and nothing's going on, you have to recognize when it's beyond you.
Yes.
When you need to send the person to the tertiary or nearby hospital.
And we're training.
And
yeah,
if you can train them in recognizing the line where they would not cross, and if
yes.
they stick with that, then I'm okay, because again, delivering the baby, it's not most of the time it just happens, and it's a natural thing. The baby goes through a natural path, all things being equal. But if there's any problem at all, then the hospital is the best place to be. The doctor is the best person
yes.
to be taking care of that kind of woman.
Okay, now I must point out there are a few more questions coming to us, and I'll get to the questions in a little bit, right? We have questions. Okay, now my grandmother had a leaf for every ailment. She had a leaf for every ailment, and I wish, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I didn't. I wish that I had taken a notebook and wrote down these leaves and whatever ailment she was using these leaves to cure. And I was so impressed. Something like ringworm, there was a leaf for ringworm. Something like when they were setting bones, there was a mixture they used to put on the bones before they set them up. And these are skills that we would do well to learn and record and use subsequently in our populations. So I do agree with you, doctor, that people need a certain level of training and skills to be able to provide safe healthcare services to the population. Now I'm not going to let you go. What's the question we have from our viewers?
We have many questions.
Oh, we have many questions. Okay, let me write them down, Doctor. Please go ahead.
And comments as well.
Yes.
Felusha,
Felusha, yes.
Felusha, he was a doctor that was recently on one of your other lives. He commented about selling medications on the roadside.
Yes.
He said, unfortunately, those vendors on the roadside selling medications are not regulated, and you take those medications at your own risk.
They need to be regulated.
It's
yes.
been
and the public needs to
No,
report them.
I would ban them, not regulate them.
Oh,
not
ban
regulate
them,
them,
yes.
sorry.
Really?
Yeah, there's no reason why anyone should be selling drugs and medication by the roadside. So
right.
when you say you want to regulate them, you're dumbing down the system. You have to set a standard for your society.
Yes.
How you want to live. You want a country where people sell drugs in buses and on the street. Of course not. Not in 2019. I don't know any country that does that. If we're still doing that, we should cover our faces in shame. And stop it.
Okay. Next question, please.
1 second. Durulaku,
yes.
Sunshine?
Yeah. Sunshine has a question, yes?
She says, what about the chemical/pharmacy shop where people tell them what is wrong with them and the pharmacist gives them drugs?
Yes.
Again, that depends on who the pharmacist is. Most times, the majority of drug sellers in Nigeria are not pharmacists. They're not even trained in any way. Mm-hmm. They are chemists, quote unquote chemists. So they don't know anything about medicine other than what they've learned in their trade of selling drugs.
Yes.
So that does not pass for medical training.
Yes.
We shouldn't be having that in 2019, unfortunately.
Which is why,
Doctor, if you're a trained pharmacist, yes, pharmacists can prescribe up to a point and say, okay, I have this, I have cold, I have fever, I have that. Maybe not fever, maybe I have runny nose and all this kind of thing. The pharmacist can point you and say, use this or use that. Okay. And the pharmacist is well trained to know when to refer you. Like, okay, what you're telling me is way beyond. Come on, you need to go see your doctor.
Yes.
But your average chemist will not tell you that. Whatever you bring, he has an answer for it. No matter your complaint, there's an answer somewhere in there.
Because he's trying to sell. Because he's trying to sell his drugs. Now, we have a plan. I did have a plan or a brain wave to establish like a CBS and provide services from a minute clinic kind of setup in different areas in Nigeria. I look forward to a time where Nigerian doctors and nurses in the diaspora will volunteer a little bit of their time, maybe during their vacation, to offer services at these minute clinics that hopefully will be able, with the aid of the government, to set up in different parts of Nigeria. And I look forward to having you there with us, Dr. Ladi.
No problem.
It will be a great opportunity and of great service to the people of Nigeria. Now, before we round up, Dr. Ladi, there are many people like you. There are many people in the Pharmaco Vigilance industry. So, how would you and your colleagues make an impact to the effective functioning of NAFDAC in Nigeria, if you could? Can you give us any ideas?
Yes,
that?
I know of a few colleagues here, and I have to say that there are a lot of Nigerians in high positions in pharmacovigilance in the U.S.
Absolutely.
We have directors, we have vice presidents. So Nigerians are really penetrated and own this this industry here in the U.S. And I know that many of them are working hand in hand with NAFDAC back home to try and set up training, to try and set up workshops, and so on and so forth. But we need to do more of that, and then there has to be, we need to build trust more between our agencies back home and the diaspora. There's always that friction, that not so much trust going on. You come from here, you try to bring some ideas over there back home, and you're met with some resistance times you meet with some, um, they're not too sure of your motives, and it's because we all know how things are in that country. A lot of people have think about money first, and other things like that. But
Yes.
there's a lot of good-hearted Nigerians in this industry here in the U.S. and that I know
Are ready and
I have
willing.
a good friend of mine in Pennsylvania, Jay Keme. He has done a lot. He has spent his own money as well, bringing other professionals from here down to Nigeria for training and to help educate the public and so on and so forth, and to collaborate with the NAFDAC. But we need to do more of that.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Dr. Ladi. It was a pleasure to have you with us. And I look forward to working more on these projects with you. I have to tell the viewers that you are an in-house doctor in African Views, one of the doctors that are coming together to help us map out better services to Africans in the diaspora and various communities, and explore their health situations and help bring whatever help we can to alleviate those situations and conditions.
Thank you very much, Regina. You do a fantastic job as well. I admire your passion for health information and educating the public. It's highly important that people are educated. Education is, knowledge is power. If you know a lot more about your health and you have the right and accurate information, it will help us all to have a higher quality, better quality of life and to live longer. So, and there's nowhere else that this is more needed than in the continent of Africa.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, at this point, viewers, I want to say a big thank you for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you again next Saturday. We'll either talk about mental health or men's health. It's been very exciting having these conversations with you. This conversation continues even after now. Continue to send in your questions and comments. Our doctors and nurses are on hand to answer them for you. Always remember that this is just an informational and educational program, all right? Take whatever information you glean here and present to your doctor and let him guide you in your healthcare process, all right? So from here, we're going to the pool party, and I'd like to invite all of you to join us as we celebrate Jeffrey's 59th birthday, all right? It's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. At this point, I'd like to say good night, God bless, and see you next week.